so this is probably not going to be a great angle, but I have here two pieces of fabric, 10 by 6 inches. Um, one piece is a jersey knit, and the other piece I just have is a piece of cotton quilting type fabric. And I have a hairband, an ouchless hairband. I have cut it in half so that it opened up. And I'm going to take that. I've made a sandwich out of this. And this is not really easy to do, and I'm sure I'm going to screw it up from what it looks like from your point of view, but it'll work in the long run. So I'm taking that piece just on one side and I'm putting it in a little over a half an inch on the edge, and I'm going to lay it like that and hold it in place. And I'm going to put the sandwich back together. Now there's really no way to pin one of those bands, so I'm holding it the best I can. Got my sewing machine. I have it on a wider stitch so that I can go over the band. I don't have as sharp of a needle as I'd like because I just don't have any on hand, so it's going to sound a little bit louder, but I've got it, let me grab this, I've got it set so it's going to be about a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm going to start in probably like a 1/4 of an inch from the edge. It's not a precise science. Okay, so I'm going to put the foot down. In order to keep the band in place, I'm using my seam ripper, just the very tip of it, so that I don't run over the seam ripper with my needle. So I'm holding the band in place on the left side and also on the right with my seam ripper. And I'm going to go very slow until I get over the band, and then I'm going to go in reverse very slow to go over the band, and come back slow. Okay, now I don't want to run over the leftover of the band that is hanging down below, so I'll push that out of the way the best I can. And I'm going to keep sewing the seam, 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to go probably about an inch from the end, maybe a little bit more to make it easier. And I'll show you what I've done here. So that's how far I've sewn. The band is in there, and now what I need to do is pull it out. I don't have any fingernails, so it's not easy. When you pull it out, it is going to be pretty tight, so it's okay if it pulls the back. It is in there somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to hold it with my seam ripper, do the best I can, get the sandwich back together to sew over it. I hope I held the camera right for that. Put the sandwich back together. Make sure that it's straight in there. And continue to sew slowly to go over the band. There we go. And go in reverse slowly. Go back over, and you're going to go to leave about a 1/4 of an inch of the fabric, and you're going to have to readjust your sandwich to make sure that that is together on the edges. And once you turn it, let me go one more here, and the jersey knit kind of stretches a little bit, so it's okay if you're not right at a 1/4 of an inch. The jersey knit will come a little bit wider than the cotton. So once you turn the corner, you sew another 1/4 inch seam. And this time you just go straight down. Sorry, that machine is so loud, the needle, plus it's probably not in the best shape. Okay. And you're going to get within about 1/4 of the edge, 1/4 of an inch on the edge. You can turn it. I'm gonna take another band, gonna cut it so it's like this. Gonna open the sandwich again, slide the piece in, try to go about a 1/2 of an inch or so. It doesn't have to be exact from the edge. And carefully put the sandwich back together, or at least part of it. And we got the seam ripper again to hold it in place. And go over it and go back. And over it again. And you're going to go down to about an inch or so, or a little bit more. And again, make sure not to run over the band that's left in there. And like I said, the edges, that jersey knit might pull a little bit and be a little bit wider. That's not a big deal. So fish out the band, the other end of the band, and put it in there about a 1/2 of an inch or so away from the edge. And then put the jersey knit back on. Let's see. Maybe you can see that I've got it in there. I hope I'm filming this right. And now I am going to use my seam ripper to hold it in place and go to within 1/4 of an inch from the edge and go back slowly. And just make sure you picked up the band. I just barely did, so I'm going back over it again. There we go. And turn. And again, it's going to be bunched up a little bit because the band is pretty short. Okay, so you're going to pull that sandwich back together again. And once you've turned the corner, you're going to start sewing. The machine's having a little problem here. Okay. Now I'm going to sew like 1/3 of the way down that seam. And then I'm going to do a stay stitch, or you can reverse and come back. And I am going to pull the fabric forward about 2 inches and do another stay stitch, or back and forth, and continue sewing that 1/4 inch seam until you meet your original seam, and stay stitch or go back and forth. And then I will show you what I've ended up with. Okay. So, ooh, that's right, it's going to bunch up. So, where you made the gap, you're going to cut those pieces, those thread pieces off so it doesn't pinch. Okay. So, it's going to be kind of wonky here because the band is small, but what you have here is a pretty decent square, sewn around all the way around except for a gap right here of about 2 inches. Then I am going to go to each corner and just cut, if you can see that, just cut the corner at the seam That makes it easier when you turn it wrong side out or right side out. And your seams are not going to be perfect, like, unless you're an expert. Like this one's kind of wonky. That's okay. That's all right. It doesn't have to be perfect in my mind. Okay. So now you have, with all the corners cut off, you are going to open up that little gap right here, and you're going to start poking the fabric through. Just do the best you can not to pull it too far. That's where that back and forth stay stitch really helps at both sides of that gap. And just keep poking it through, and eventually you'll come to one of the bands and pull it out like that. And you'll come to another band, pull it out like that. Okay, and what I do is I've got just a pen, a marking pen. I put it in that hole and do that, just to get the edge out as much as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, I don't try for perfect. I just try for it to be able to be used. Okay. So there we have it. And I've tried something a little bit new to make this work a little bit better. First, I'm going to take, I have, this is an actual real pipe cleaner, which is quite coarse, so I had to make a little cover for it, but you can use just a regular pipe cleaner. So I'm going to take that, it's probably like 4 inches long, 3 inches long, and I'm going to poke it into the little gap that we have, and I'm going to bring it to somewhere around the middle, the best I can judge for the middle. And you're going to take the hem, or the, I guess I'm not sure what to say, but where that little gap is, just put it together the best you can, because you are going to sew over it later to make it tight. Okay. So once you've got that in there, and there it is, what you're going to do is just go, and you're going to sew on the left side of it, just to make sure that it stays in there. I'm going to fix that a little bit. And what I'm going to do is, because those ends are going to stick out a little bit, I'm going to use a couple pins. Don't sew over the pins, just pull them out before you get to them. So, there. And, okay. So I'm actually just going to sew the length of that pipe cleaner. So I'm going to stay to the left of it, right there. Maybe a little bit more left, because I really don't want to put my needle on it. There we go. And I'm going to just make a stitch to kind of hold that thing in place. And just go to the end of it. I'm sure it's not right in the middle, but I'm doing the best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now we have that piece in there, and that's just so that we can get it set. And I would again pin that top together just so that the pieces don't open up again, because those haven't been sewn down yet. And I like to cut off my tails and throw them on the floor. have to make the pleats. So I always take, that's going to be on the top because that's where the nose piece is. And you want the pleats to go down. So you're going to go put your thumb here on the bottom, and you're just going to bend a piece like that. So it's going to look like that. And you might have to change these around a little bit. There's no precise measurement, but so I'm pinning that just like that. And I'm going to put my thumb a little bit above that and fold another one down. And bring it right to where the other one comes together. And I will pin that. And one more. Now you may have to redo these, and that's fine. I've done that several times. So this is what you end up with on that side. You try to duplicate the same on the other side. What I do is I bend it and then I kind of pull it like that. You might have to adjust it a little bit. And pin that one and keep going. And I pull each one just to see if it's by eye, just to see how close it gets. And ouch, don't poke yourself. Okay, got my third one. Now these are so thick. They are so thick. I may have a problem with it with my needle in my machine, but we'll try it anyway. But you have to guide it with your sewing machine or with your seam ripper because you really just don't want it to come apart. So this is what you have. And there's the pieces are all set like that. So I'm going to go from the top first to get that edge together. So I'm starting right at the top, and I'm going to have to use my seam ripper to push right from the beginning because it is rather thick. So that's where I'm starting as close as I can to the edge. And I don't usually do a stay stitch or anything here because it generally will be okay. I'll sew over it. Okay, so I'm sewing as close as I can to the edge. It doesn't have to be perfect, believe me. My stitches are not perfect. Okay, and where you have the pipe cleaner, you just want to make sure that the pipe cleaner is pushed in far enough so that you don't run over it. I've broken a needle or two. Okay. And pull out the pins so that you don't run over them. This is working well. And go all the way to the end. I kind of cleared the pipe cleaner, so I've done well there. Okay, and go all the way. You're going to go between 1/4 and 1/2 inch to the end and turn. I'll show you what that looks like. There you go. And you're going to use your seam ripper to hold it down. I don't think I can really show you. I'm not sure. I'm not going to be able to show you how I do it. This is where kind of trial and error goes. Let's see, maybe I can turn that a little bit. Actually, I want to go a little bit closer to the edge, so I'm going to go a few more stitches. It should probably come just a little over past where the foot is. Okay, so I'm going to take the first needle out, the first pin out, and I'm holding it down like this, if you can see that. Okay. and be very, very careful not to run over your seam ripper. Okay, once you get over the first edge, you can push the next needle down. Go to the next edge, pull your needle out, and go right up to the edge of that fold and turn. And that's what that looks like. Hopefully you can see it. I'm not sure I'm pointing the camera right. Okay, and now I'm going to sew right straight down on that end. If you get a fold up there, just use the thumb. Again, my seams are not perfectly straight. That's okay. Just do the best you can. Okay, and you're going to get to the edge. And this is what I have so far. And we're going to do the same thing. Now this side is in reverse. So you have to be a little bit more careful because it tends to pull the little pleats away so that it stretches them out. I usually put my seam ripper in the loop of the pleat as I'm going down and kind of pull it towards the needle. But you gotta be very careful about running over your seam ripper. And go right to the end where you sewed before, and I'm gonna do a stay stitch. And cut my tails. The darker the fabric, the lighter the thread, the more you see your mistakes, but you really don't notice them unless you're looking at them yourself. So, there it is. And it has this nice thing in it that goes over your nose. You put it on here. And as you can see, it pinches on your nose so that you can keep it on better. And for those of us that wear glasses, voila. Good luck.